Welcome back to Revving with Revenue. Today, we're talking about what it really takes to build a culture of continuous improvement. Jeff Laplante, Global VP of Business Development, sits down with Revenew CEO Kris Westbrook for a candid conversation on operational excellence, leadership transparency, and how small, consistent improvements add up to lasting impact. Don't forget, a Revenue team leader will be in the chat to answer any questions. Let's jump right into this conversation.
All right, Kris. Well, I'd like to take a little bit of time here to talk about continuous improvement, operational excellence in the context of revenue of our company and just, leadership in general. So, when you think about how revenue has evolved over the last, 15 years, what are some of the big changes or big investments that you've made in operational excellence in our company?
This is one of my favorite topics to talk about. One of the, my pet peeves as a leader is office gossip. And so I feel like if everybody knows everything, there's nothing to gossip about. So as you know, at Revenue, everything's an open book. I mean, we're very clear on metrics and goals and what's going well, what's not going well. And I want to hear that feedback from all staff. And so we make it a priority to solicit feedback on a regular basis, every 2 weeks with our, 15-5 reports, our open door policy, because we want to know those things as a leadership team. And, we're not a perfect organization. We may make mistakes on a daily basis. And but the key is not to make the same mistake twice. And so we're always looking to improve and not reinvent the wheel, but, make better tread and, be more efficient with our process and our technology and really understand what are our bottlenecks of the people that they're facing, and let's remove some of those bottlenecks so they can do their job more efficiently. So that's one of my highest priorities on a daily basis to remove those roadblocks for the staff and to improve 1% every day.
If you think about that, where you're getting feedback from a lot of different sources. It was actually one of the things I had to get used to the most when I joined Revenue. Is like you can go and talk to anybody at any time, right? Do you have any examples of where you've gotten some feedback from anybody that's not a member of the leadership team, where you've been like, hey, we need to move on this right now. This could really move the needle for our company. Do you have any, what story pops into your head?
Yeah, so, we have a client that, is a big champion of ours and was, you guys should really be looking at tax recovery services. We have this expense and we feel like there's an opportunity here, and it would be, you've shown what you can do on the contract compliance and the accounts payable side, but man, we would love for you to be able to show us, our opportunities on the tax side. So that was the impetus for us to go out and start looking for, a company that does tax recovery services and integrate it into Revenue. So that was honestly unsolicited feedback from a great client that led us in that direction to us adding a service that's been a big needle mover for us.
So just curious, where did you get that feedback? Was it just like in a meeting? Was it over a lunch? Like, how did you get that? And how did it evolve from day one? Like where you heard that, you're like, oh, that's interesting. We should look at it.
It was a lunch, and we were just talking about the question I asked was, what keeps you up at night about your business and your role? And they just felt like they were overspending in tax to the state authorities, and we're looking for a good third-party solution that would help with that. And so they knew about our cost recovery background, and we're a little surprised that we didn't have that tool in the toolkit. And so, immediately after that, I started looking at potential opportunities, either subject matter experts we could hire or, acquiring a company, which we ultimately did to integrate into Revenue.
If you're thinking about operational excellence and just sort of like how technology is changing the way we deliver to our clients, right? So I'm not thinking about any specific service line, but if you take a look at how we leverage technology and processes and people now compared to, say, 10 years ago, what is the biggest change you've noticed from 10 years ago to today in those areas?
I would say a lot of it's around machine learning and AI, and we're using that to make us more efficient, to kind of point us in the right direction, jumpstart us on, where to look for potential opportunities. By no means is it replacing our talented people with years of expertise of once pointed in the right direction can kind of mine that and and figure out, what actually happened. But that's definitely helped us become more efficient and, like I said, help point us in the right direction, because it's still, kind of a needle in the haystack, and we just need help, getting us started, and then our experienced team can take over. But it's definitely helped with our cycle time.
Do you see an investment in AI and technology as the key lever that we're going to continue to pull for, continued improvements in our business? Like, where do you see operational excellence going in the next 5 years?
We will definitely continue to invest in technology and machine learning and AI, but also making a significant investment in our people. Is, that's what separates Revenew from, other cost recovery firms, is the people. We have great process, we have great technology, but it comes down to those years of experience that have been out in the field, have been in operations, and have seen, these opportunities, and can. They're surgeons. I mean, they're master class at this, and so that's where we'll make the biggest investment is in the people.
Kris, I've had the opportunity to work with a bunch of different leaders over my career, and you've got a very interesting slant on leadership. From my perspective, I would like to learn from you how you think leaders can drive the strategic initiatives in their companies that will help basically them get much better from an operational excellence perspective.
I think the first thing is to humble yourself, to know that you're not the smartest person in the room, and you may not agree with everybody's ideas, but at least be open to different viewpoints, different ideas. Around my leadership table, I don't want 10, 11 Kris Westbrooks. I want individuals that have their own train of thought and bring, like I said, unique and different ideas, opposing views. Like I said, at the end of the day, we may walk away the table with, I'll make the decision, and it may not be, that person's viewpoint, but you can rest assured I've listened to every idea and given it a well thought out, reason of why we're moving forward. I want that feedback, and I require it from my leaders and the staff to provide that feedback. And like I said, I don't want a pat on the back either. And so that's key to me, is to humble yourself, to be a servant leader. As I mentioned previously, my job is to remove roadblocks. Then that's all I do all day long, and so that everybody can do their job as efficiently and as well to their liking. And so that's a key part of my job, is to remove those roadblocks.
Talked about technology. We've talked about leadership, right, and driving strategic initiatives. In talking to a lot of leaders out there, inside our industry, outside of our industry, one of the key things they're struggling with right now is they're getting so much information coming into them, and the opportunities for key strategic initiatives are huge. Like, there's so many out there. How do you personally kind of decide how many strategic initiatives are the right amount per year, and how do you arrive at that number?
Yeah, it's a good question. I definitely get my leadership team involved, and we'll talk about, hey, here are the laundry list of things that we can tackle next year, right? And that list may be 10, but I think we can do 3 to 4 maybe really well.
Yeah.
And so we need to figure out what are the big rocks and which ones are going to make the most impact to our bottom line. And so it's a discussion.
Yeah.
And, I come in with my ideas and thoughts, but I can be, swayed based on, how the conversation goes, and we'll kind of land on those 3 or 4, and then we'll all get in it together.
Yeah.
And then we're going to talk about them on a, pretty regular cadence, and make sure we're still focused on those. And then if we get halfway through the year, we may call an audible, just because, hey, we're going to bring something back that we talked about earlier in the year and drop something down. So we always evolve, and it's nothing set in stone. But yeah, we talk about it as a group, and then come to a consensus and move forward.
I think that collaborative buy-in is really important to having success whatever that right number is for that year, right? Have you ever exited a year and looked back on it and gone, gosh, I really wish we would have done 1 or 2 more, or gosh, we did, 5 too many? Have you ever had a year like that where it's like, okay, I got to apply that to the next year?
Of course, it's usually we try to take on too much.
Yeah.
Just because there's a lot of overachievers at Revenew, and we think we can.
You can sleep when you're dead, right?
Right.
I mean, there's 24 hours in a day. We can get it all done.
So usually we don't leave a lot
Yeah.
on the table.
Yeah.
But we just, pick it up for the next year and add a few more. But yeah, if anything, we probably take on a little too much, but that makes us better.
Well, Kris, thanks very much. Great insights into kind of the role of operational excellence and how it's going to continue to drive sort of the future for your company and for Revenew. But thanks again for your insights and your view on how to lead that part of our organization.
Yeah, enjoyed the conversation.
Thanks for joining us on Revving with Revenew. If you'd like to continue the discussion, connect with us on LinkedIn or visit revenew.com to learn more. Have a great rest of your day.